with all the big calls on all the big races. Welcome to a special weekend edition of What a Shout, your flagship feature weekend show here at the Racing Post with our sponsors, Bet365. Myself, Dave Orton, delighted to be back in the seat with you. Filmed on a Friday morning in the capital. It's pretty wet out there, isn't it? But the sun shines here in Racing Post Towers. Graeme Rodway joins me back. Bonjour.
Konnichiwa, Dave.
I wondered where we were going to go with that. Let's go to Pat Cooney as well, who joins us from his Stoke base, I believe. Guten Morgen, Herr Cooney.
Yes, bonjour, comme ça va?
Okay, that's baffled me already. Good luck to everyone, by the way, going over to Paris again, whether it's Ireland or Britain, wherever you're going. Absolutely fantastic. What a weekend we've got ahead. We will be previewing, of course, all the big races, but this is a special weekend, isn't it? And made more so by the fact that people like Paul Keeley are going back over.
Oh, absolutely fantastic, isn't it? If you can get that trip out to Paris, have a great weekend out there, really enjoy it, take in the culture as well. The city is great. It's right in the city, isn't it?
Last start winner you saw?
The last start winner I saw was Solemia, who, of course, defeated Orfevre.
Known to everyone else as Solomia, of course. We've done this debate before, haven't we? What it's called. I've got a feeling there might be some weird pronunciations coming up this way. Enable was the last one I saw when she saw off Sea of Class.
And Shanti?
No, that was the first Longchamp back. It was a disaster. All the queues were massive, but I hear they've really sorted it out now. You're going to have a great time. Pat, last arc winner you saw?
Sakava, 2008, Super Sumi. I was on her anti-post and she nearly fell over coming out the stalls that day. So heart and mouth through her about a mile and 3 furlongs, but she got the job done. Marvellous atmosphere. Thoroughly recommend it. On the bucket list for anyone, it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the trips of a lifetime. All right, let's hope this is a show of a lifetime for you. What exactly is coming up this weekend? Let's have a look. Oh yes, we delve into the mind of the Ballydoyle maestro that is Aidan O'Brien. Aidan kindly gave me an interview that will be coming your way. No hot topics this week, guys. Why? Because we're going to go into all the big race previews. Look how many there are for you. And then at the end, of course, those all-important weekend naps. Okay, the bit you've all been waiting for. We teased it. We got the great man in, despite the fact that he got wind of you being on the panel. He agreed to come on. We went to his County Tipperary base. You've seen a bit of it already, haven't you?
I have, yeah. When you said great man, I thought you were referring to me then,
well, listen,
Dave.
I do feel like I'm in exalted company here this morning. Absolutely, very much. But listen, come on. Let's get, without further ado, let's go and see what Aidan had to say. You can't miss this. So, a very warm What a Shout welcome. I'm delighted to say we go all the way across to his County Tipperary base at Ballydoyle. It's the maestro himself, Aidan O'Brien, joins us in the studio. Aidan, welcome along to What a Shout.
Thank you very much, David.
I tell you what, people are usually calling me Dave. I will take David all day long. Let's talk a little bit about 2021, if you don't mind, Aidan. Of course, another fantastic year. 17 Group 1 wins. You made it in the Shively Park at Newmarket, courtesy of Tenebrism on Saturday. Now, obviously, Aidan, you took the reins in 1996, taking over from the Colossus that is Vincent O'Brien. History has been written ever since. Steeped in the horse racing dynasty, of course. Started off in the jumps game, which I will just about remember. It was horses like Isterbrak which got me into racing. 3-time champion hurdle winner, the Frankel of jumps horses, basically, viewers, for our younger ones out there. If you don't know who he is, what on earth are you doing? Aidan, let's see if I've got this right. This is since 2000, by the way, courtesy of our database here, something we call Raceform Interactive. You've basically broken our database, Aidan. So from 2000... we make your career wins as of the 26th of September this year, 2,525. I had to count that about 10 times for an amazing career strike rate of 1973. Your Group 1 wins alone, Tenebrism being the 341st since 2000. Amazing stuff.
No, thanks, Dave. Yeah, obviously I wasn't aware of all that, but no, thank you very much.
Okay, the modesty that the man's coming out. Now, Aidan, we're going to get a graphic up if you don't mind. This is what we do when we have our guests on What a Shout. The top horses that you train by Racing Post ratings. Now, we haven't got enough airtime, basically, to get them all in. The amount of horses over 125, that magic rating, if you like, is spectacular. But there's top 6 we've got. I'll go down them for you, Aidan. At the top, and this is one that's really contentious, Hawkwing, of course, after that Lockins demolition job in 2003, all the way down to Rock of Gibraltar. Some absolute worldies that you've trained. Whereabouts, Aidan, does St Mark's Basilica fit into that? Of course, we had the sad news last week. I say sad news, of course. You've kept the horse in one piece, which is the absolute importance. The lads, of course, we saw you in the week in the Racing Post saying they had discussed it after his win. 5th Group 1 on the bounce in the Irish Champion Stakes, where perhaps it was clear when you watch it back. I've done it, Aidan, and some of the greatest judges at the Post have done it as well. Perhaps he was just feeling that injury which kept him out of the International at York.
Yeah, absolutely. David was. Yeah, listen, he's a great horse. Obviously, we saw what he can do, and I suppose he was very lucky to make it back to Leopardstown after the injury that he had. Really, he was a very special horse. He had everything, and we were just very, very lucky to have had him. Really,
because of course it took him 3 tries to get off the mark as a 2-year-old, which seems remarkable now, since he held everything before him. That figure that we've got for him, 128, Aidan, was in the eclipse, of course, when he beat Adabe, the great Adabe, and Mishriff. We've seen what he's done since. Won that International. I heard you talking during International Week, Ebor Week at York, Aidan. I got the sense that you were rather frustrated he didn't turn up there, because he must have been doing amazing things on the gallops.
Yeah, no, he was working absolutely brilliant up to York. We could not have been happier with him. He'd had a lovely run into it, and everything had went really well until obviously the blip that he had. So obviously we were very disappointed that he didn't. But like I say, lucky to have had him back for the last day, really.
It would have been quick enough ground, I suppose, looking at his profile as well in the Irish Champion Stakes. And he showed a real terrier-like attitude, didn't he? Despite going across the track with Tanawa, who may well boost that form. No end on Sunday, of course.
Yeah, no, exactly. The ground was lovely at Leopardstown, and he's a beautiful mover, and that's really what he would have really does like. No, exactly. Listen, he drifted a little bit in the straight in Leopardstown, and obviously it could have been affecting him, the little injury that he got just before York.
It's fair to say he's incredibly timely for you guys out there, with the sad demise of Galileo, of course, the super stallion as we call him here, the super sire for you out there viewers, basically, who held everything before him. Your 2001, your first Derby winner, a Derby you've won 8 times now, of course. Is it annoying, Aidan, that you didn't get to train him as a 4-year-old? Where would he have ranked, in that top 6? Do you think he would have been up there with the Hawk Queen? You have actually gone on record in the Racing Post this week of saying potentially the best we've ever had at Ballydoyle.
Yeah, I think he was. Obviously we saw what he was doing and what he did from the time from the Dewhurst on, and I suppose last year was just a bit of a mess. It was COVID time, and everything was forced forward, and horses were kind of being pushed into slots that probably weren't really suiting them, and obviously he didn't. He won the Dewhurst then at the end, and obviously after that, French Derby, Guineas, Eclipse, Champion State, all just seriously impressive, important races, really.
Let's look to the future then a little bit, Aidan. Tenebrism, who took out the Shively Park Stakes then at Newmarket, that devastating burst against the rail, beating Floaters, who looked like she had the race one coming out of the dip. We hadn't seen her for a little while. What's the plan with her? And I'd like to ask you about the ownership there, Aidan, as well, if you don't mind. Meribel Stables and the Westerbergs, we know about that. Is the temptation now to go to the Breeders' Cup?
I think there's a big chance that she could. Obviously, she's only had the 2 runs. Obviously, she has loads of speed, and she looked like the last day that she should have no problem getting 7 furlongs. And obviously, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile will be there, grass. It's on a flat American track, so I think there's every chance that she could, really.
At Del Mar, of course, we'll be looking forward to that coming up. RE next year, Aidan. There's with the great inception of the Commonwealth Cup at Royal Ascot, there's a temptation to keep these horses, of course, to the sprint division. Now, she's by Caravaggio, but there is some stamina on the dam side. 7 furlongs, I saw you had her entered over 7 furlongs. Is the Guineas the ultimate plan?
I think it probably will be. Like you said, we were toying with the idea of running her at 7 this weekend or last weekend, really. So she's very relaxed filly. She quickens really well, and like we saw the last day, she really ran through the line.
Our handicappers basically rated her the joint highest winner of that race in the last 10 years. And it's only the first time since 2007 that the middle part winner has been rated lower. So Tenebrism, happy times ahead with the juveniles at Ballydoyle. Okay, let's switch our attention then to Saturday. Sun Chariot Stakes is the jewel in the crown of Saturday racing domestically anyway. 2:55 then, the fillies' time to shine. The division is set pretty much now. And the classic winner in the pack, Mother Earth, thankfully comes out to play a double-figure draw under Ryan Moore. Ground all comes alight to her, Aidan. She's a remarkable filly. I mean, she ran 8 times as a 2-year-old, didn't she? Of course, we know that she likes other Rolly Cause. She finished 3rd there in the fillies' Marne, and of course, she took out the classic as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's a great filly. She had a big run again the last day. She's very consistent. She relaxes, she stays, she gets a mile very well, and usually always finishing off her races very well. And she seems to be in good form since the last day.
It's fair to say she was a little bit unlucky, Aidan, wasn't she, in the Matron Stakes? That must have been frustrating to watch.
Yeah, listen, obviously it was just a little bit of a mess, and she's. Ryan rode her the way he always does, and the way she likes to be ridden is just taking her time a little bit, and she just got stopped in her run. But listen, she seems to have come out of it well, and we've been happy with her since.
Yes, it's a bit surprising, isn't it, that perhaps she's not Antipo's favourite for that with our bookman, because she's got Snow Lantern and that Falmouth form to go up. But, all indications are that she's well. She was due a trip for the Everest as well, Aidan. When did that idea come about, which obviously is, that's not going to happen now. She looks like she might go to Del Mar as well. When on earth did you think about the Everest?
Yeah, I suppose obviously Santa Barbara was doing those races. That was the plan for her, and obviously when Santa Barbara got an injury and she cracked her pelvis, and then she had an internal bleed from it, and then she had to go on she had to go on drugs to stop the bleed, and when she did, then she just got colitis from that, and that's what happened to poor Santa Barbara. So obviously then when she wasn't going to Breeders' Cup, we decided just to keep Mother Earth back to take up those slots. So that's where it all changed, really. And to go to America or to go to Australia was just going to be plenty hassle this time of the year this year. So it was easier to change her route and reroute her back here, really.
Yeah, the Everest is one I'm sure that you'll target successfully later on. Mother Earth, just a final word on her, Aidan. She seems so uncomplicated, doesn't she? We know she likes the track. What has been the secret of keeping a filly who's having her 14th outing this sweet?
Yeah, no, sure. Listen, the lads do a great job with her. Derek, who rides her, Wayne rides her, and her work, and Jamie, who's in charge of her every day, they do a great job with her. She's a very off-handed filly, loves what she does, and I know they do a great job with her, keeping her in good shape, really.
All right, then I think basically she's going to be a really solid pick, isn't she, to give you a 4th Sun Chariot. Let's switch our attentions, if you don't mind then, Aidan, to Paris on Sunday. Now, the rain has arrived. 3 runners in the arc at 3:05. Headed, I guess, by Snowfall. Again, similarly remarkable profile as to Mother Earth. All those runs as a 2-year-old broke through in incredible fashion, as she did, basically winning the Musadora, amazingly sent off a 14-1 shot. We know that form has since worked out. She, of course, then went to Epsom. What she did there has to be seen to be believed. Watch it back again, still can't believe it. Frankie swinging away, coming back, away from that field on that soft ground. And then, of course, taking out the Yorkshire Oaks after an Irish Oaks as well. You got the feeling with this filly, Aidan, that she just was getting better and better and learning still on the job. I remember Ryan pushing her out at the Curragh in the Irish Oaks as well. What exactly was the reason for her defeat last time in the Vermeil? Was it tactics, was it pace, or a combination of things?
Yeah, I suppose it was a combination. Probably it wasn't the fast pace, it was a quicker ground than she had running, I suppose. But I think it was probably a slowly run race, probably didn't suit her as well. She's a filly that gets a 1.5 miles very well, and as we saw, and when she went up and tripped, she really blossomed. So maybe a combination of maybe the pace was a little bit slow, and we were treating it as a trial for the arc. So no, but she still ran very well.
Yeah, she's drawn in stall 9, isn't she? Horses, of course, beaten in the Vermeil to come out and win it. Solomia won it a few years ago in the Great Trev as well. Finished 2nd. No Tiona in the race this time, her old rival. That's down to the ground. I guess the ground would make you a bit more confident that we'll see her at her very best, Aidan, because she can go through it. Yeah,
well, I suppose we were a little bit worried going to Epsom about the ground, and as we saw she handled it very well. So that's obviously a plus for her. We always thought she wanted nice ground or better, but like I said, she seemed to handle it very well in Epsom, and hopefully it won't be too bad. But I suppose it's all going to depend on how much rain is going to come, really. There was a lot of rain, and then I think the forecast went back a little bit. So it'll be interesting tomorrow or the next day to see what really does happen.
Let's switch to the love now then. Your 4-year-old filly in the race. The ground must be a worry for her, Aidan. She's got the draw in 4, I guess, which would have made you very happy. Ground-saving ride. She's so uncomplicated. And I know that you were not so frustrated with her defeat as many onlookers last time, giving all that weight to a real up-and-comer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We went to the Curragh kind of treating it as an arc trial. It was 1.25 miles on the right-handed bend, and a little bit like Longchamp. She was given a lot of weight to the winner, who was a very good filly. I think she was given 9 or 10 pounds to it, and she had to run right up to her rating, really, even to run as big as she did. And we were very happy with her run, and she came out of the race very well. And we always felt a step up to 1.5 miles was going to help her then as well.
She showed a real workman-like attitude. Now, that's not being at all disparaging about her. You know, these horses like Enable, these great fillies, some of them are very smoothy and racy, but she's almost looked like she really relishes a battle this year.
Yeah, she was very genuine filly, always was. She obviously won a Guineas, but like we felt that 1.5 miles is what she really likes and suits her now. She'll get usually an even pace in the arc, and no, exactly. So she's very genuine. She always races with her head out and down, and that's what she did at the Curragh as well.
Frankie Dettori on. That's been a great association again this year, Aidan, hasn't it? Of course, it was 25 years ago since that great Saturday when Frankie went through the Cardiff's Magnificent 7. The association between you both has borne fruit. 2 classics, of course. Could she pull this off, Aidan? She's a huge price.
Yeah, she's obviously very good. Listen, she's a great filly, really. It's very possible. Obviously, like we've been happy with her preparation, and no, we're looking forward to seeing her, and everything has kind of been geared towards this for a good while.
Interesting. I guess she's the one that when you walk the course, that will be the one that we know. And of course, the trio is made up by Broome, one of my favourite horses in training, Aidan, because this guy just doesn't leave anything out on the track, does he? He's a fantastic horse.
Yeah, he's very genuine. He stays very well. He's very uncomplicated. He'll be happy to make the running, or very happy to get a lead if someone makes it for him. He had a very good run the last day in the trial, and no, he's very uncomplicated, solid, sound horse.
Yeah, I suppose it was just since that King George run where he missed the break a bit, had to get rushed up. That was the only blip, I suppose you could say. He won't mind the ground at all either, will he? And I suppose that this might be the last time we see him, Aidan, or could he be one for the Breeders' Cup as well?
Yeah, I think he's possible for all those races, Breeders' Cup and all races. I think he's a horse loves racing, and I think he'll probably, if everything is well with him, he will race on.
That is the arc then. Okay, 3 top runners from Ballydoyle bidding for a 3rd arc. Of course, Dylan Thomas in 2007, and when it was at Shanty, 2016, the great 1-2-3 headed by Found. After the arc, Aidan, of course, we've got the Pre-de-l-Abbaye. And your Diane runner, Joan of Arc, who of course we saw in the Vermeil last time, she didn't get home in that right, Aidan, but she'll be popular, I think, with many, many punters. What's the update on her?
Yeah, she's very well as well. We thought that there was a chance that she wouldn't get the 1.5 miles the last day, and we ran her just to see, and we think that was the reason for her disappointing run. Obviously, the whole race was a little bit of a mess, so it was hard to judge, but she's very comfortable at 1.25 miles, and she's back to that trip now again. So a very uncomplicated filly to ride too, very genuine. Won't mind the knees in the ground if the ground does get on the soft side.
Okay, that's good to know. All right then, there's the top team for the weekend. Aidan, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. We know with the strange times we've had with the global pandemic last year, everything was a bit haywire. This year, back on track. It all looks good, doesn't it? Thanks from everyone here at the Racing Post for joining us here on What a Shout. Our viewers will be absolutely delighted. Let us know, viewers, your favourite Ballydoyle horse over the years. Yep, let's break the chat machine. Put them in below. I'll be going back to the assistant betting editor of the Racing Post, Graeme Rodway, after this. He's got a couple of questions for you, Aidan. I'm sorry about this. We've spared you in this interview with him. I can tell you in some of the questions we've had to put a line through. But he's got this crazy theory, one of many that he's had, that horses, will always walk their horses in headgear. Can you just confirm this? Let's get the maestro to do this. Any horse that you've ever thought about cheek pieces, ruler of the world, we know, of course, pulling out the Derby, do you actually work them in them first or not, or is he just mad thinking that?
No, we would. Usually if we're putting anything on him, we would make sure we would know the result before we put them on. Like, obviously it would be dangerous to run them with blinkers on them or whatever if you thought they were going to get upset, which it does happen to some horses. So we would usually always work them in it before we run them in it, yes.
Okay, there you go. The definitive answer then. Mr. Rodway will be intolerable after this. We had some trainers saying we don't actually bother, we get them on track. Aidan, you've answered that one. Thanks ever so much. All the best for the rest of 2021 and beyond. Hopefully we'll have you back here on What a Shout in the future.
Thanks, Dave. You're welcome. A pleasure.
There you have it then. That was superb. Literally delving into the mind of Aidan O'Brien. And come on, let's have it. Intolerable, I said you would be. Anyone that's watching our regular shows here over the last couple of weeks, you've floated it to a couple of trainers before, haven't you? Do you work in headgear? Let me just say, by the way, Pat, as well, this is for you and viewers out there. You gave me a couple of questions during the week to get to Aidan. It's fair to say that I asked him about one. Does he play music 24 hours in the stable? Apparently, I said, Aidan, can I just ask you about this? And he went, no. Deadpan face. And this thing about getting the honey and the Ballydoyle honey and all that sort of stuff out the window. So actually, only one of your three questions made it. And I think he thought I was mad when I was asking about the blinkers. He actually said it was dangerous.
He did say it was dangerous, which is quite interesting because we've had various different answers, haven't we? We've had some trainers saying they don't work them at home at all and they just send them straight to the track, stick them on at the track and away they go and see how they go. So maybe it is dangerous, maybe it's not. But Aidan obviously thinks it's dangerous, but it was great to get a definitive answer from the greatest trainer of them all, wasn't it? On whether you work them at home with blinkers. Aidan does, but Kevin Ryan doesn't.
Best horse Aidan's ever trained?
Oh, I would probably go with, I like Dylan Thomas. Thought he was very good.
Very topical. The 2007 Art winner. Best horse that Aidan's ever trained, Pat. If you've got back on your chair that one of Rodway's theories has been proved correct.
I'd say Galileo. I thought he won the Derby super impressively. And he looked a Rolls Royce of a horse. But there were many other candidates, but he was the first one I thought of.
Yeah, okay. I go for something like Mozart. You remember the sprinter?
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. And Johannesburg, I loved him as well.
No,
The 2-year-old.
Stravinsky was better than
Stravinsky
Mozart.
was well, and the names of these horses. I should have put that to him, really. You know, but again, he's quite a serious chap. He's on the clock as well, you know. But anyway, listen, as I said, get your favourite O'Brien horses in below. Who's the best at Ballydoyle over the years? What a treat that was. Let's get them out of the way then. The first of the big race previews coming your way. Let's go to Berkshire. It is the Royal Track of Ascot, and it is the Cumberland Lodge Stakes. Of course, one at Doncaster in that weird campaign we had last year when Logician flopped in it. This looks like a much more competitive heat to my eyes. Pat Cooney.
Yeah, Hookham has been the well-backed favourite since the final decks in this race. Round about a 7-4 chance, but I'm not so sure about him. He's got that £3 penalty to carry. And I think he's a bit of a nearly horse, really. Other horses take my eye, really. I like the look of Title. He seems to be going the right way, progressing well, foot on the ground. There's been money for him. And I can imagine Quickthorn being popular as well. He's got to go from handicap company to Group 3 company. It was a worthy winner last time. Lost a lot of ground at the start and won well. He can't afford to do that again this time around. I think on balance, Hookham's opposable, and I do like Title.
Could well be drifting then. The dependable Hookham, we can call him. Do you like him?
Yeah, I think he'll win this because I just think he's better than a Group 3 horse. And I think he's actually borderline Group 1, probably not quite Group 1.
I agree with that.
He's the sort of horse that I would categorise as international Group 1 standard. He's probably below the best horses in Britain, but he's capable of winning Grade 1s.
Penciled in for the Arc at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah, the Arc and the Canadian International was mentioned, of course, but those have all gone by the wayside after he got beaten at Kempton by Hamish. But I don't think that Hamish is a bad horse.
No, he's not. He's got Triomphe form, hasn't he? And
yeah, you know, he's got some good form. William Haggis had obviously lined him up for the Ebor, and then he pulled him out on the morning of the Ebor thinking there wasn't going to be enough rain, of course, and then it absolutely hammered it down.
There's going to be a lot of rain wherever we're looking. We'll get to that with Longchamp a little bit later on. It's pouring down everywhere this morning. It was monsoon like. Certainly, I'm not too far from Ascot. Hookham goes on that. I think Title, in receipt of that weight, will give him something to think about. This is a horse mentally that's taken a lot to get right. Watch his run back at Royal Ascot. He's still not quite there, even when he won at Yarmouth earlier in the year. Last time we saw the real deal. I think Hookham just looks a little bit short to my eyes. I quite liked Alanak as well, but I'm not sure about him on the ground.
The difference, of course, between soft ground in the summer to soft ground at this time of year is quite significant, isn't it? It can be a lot more testing now on soft ground in October than it would be when Hookham ran his one of the best races of his career on soft ground at Royal Ascot in June. So that is a slight concern if you back in Hookham, but I still think he'll outclass them.
The class angle then for G, myself and Pat, we think he'll take the title off him with the Roger Varian 3-year-old. Group 1 time then, domestically, it is the Sun Chariot. We've heard from Aidan, of course, and what he thought of Mother Earth, but let's go to Pat Cooney to see where she sits exactly in Bet365's market.
Well, she sits currently, Dave, as second favourite behind Snow Lantern, and the Falmouth Stakes at the July course at Newmarket in July is probably the best place to start. I think 6 of these ran in that race that day, and Snow Lantern was the winner. Mother Earth, a little bit unlucky in second. Likewise, Primo Baccio in, I think that one was an unlucky fourth. So we're basing our summers on that being the best form out there. But Snow Lantern, she did well to win that day. She was tough and brave. But the ground is going to be probably good to soft at Newmarket. I know it dries quickly. So I'm still looking at horses that are going to be popular with soft ground form. Mother Earth, she won the French 1000 on a very testing ground. I rated her a bit unlucky that day at Newmarket, and likewise at Leopardstown last time. I can see Mother Earth reversing the form here, but there's not much between them all really on official ratings.
I agree with that, Pat, very much so. It's Mother Earth for me. That chat I had with Aidan, I was pretty convinced about her before that, but I just got the vibe. She's a bit of a freak, this horse, isn't she? Her and Snowfall, who runs in the Arc, of course, had so many runs at 2. We know what happened in the Phillies Mile. Couldn't make that up, could you? With the saddle cloth and the wrong team getting it, and Aidan knew as soon as he saw them coming out the stalls, and yet they both turned out to be classic winners. We know she loves the Rolling Mile. Snow Lantern came back wrong last time from France behind Baid. We'll get a little line on that form. She's expected to bounce back, I think, G, isn't she? But you like another one at a price, and I agree with the value selection.
Yeah, I like Saffron Beach, who, of course, was second behind Mother Earth in the 1,000 guineas over course and distance at the start of the season. But she was a soft ground winner at Newmarket last season over 7 furlongs. And I think the softer ground will suit her because it takes a little bit of time to get going. So much so that Jane Chapel-Wyam tried her in the Oaks next time behind Snowfall when she obviously didn't stay on really testing ground.
Yeah.
And I thought last time at Sandown she really looked better. She come right back to her best form and absolutely bolted up. All right, it wasn't a Group 1, it was a weaker race, the Atlanta Stakes, but we know she's a Group 1 horse. She's been there, done it before. She's been in with the best. Mother Earth only just behind her in the Guineas. I think that she could be the one here.
Yeah, Pat made reference to the ground in this. We'll give this a bit more weight because it's Group 1, of course. Like you probably, I've got some memories of some very good horses getting sunk in this race. The ground can turn very quickly at this meeting at Newmarket.
The ground and, of course, the time of year. You know, we're right at the end of the season. It's October. Horses like Mother Earth have been on the go all
Jumpers
summer.
coming out.
Jumpers coming out soon. You just don't know how tough they're going to be, whether they're going to be able to take another race. I mean, as far as Mother Earth goes, I think she will. She's very, very tough and game horse. But there's some other horses in there who might be coming towards the end of the tether, especially with fillies as well at this time of year, once they go in their coat.
You definitely get the feeling this has been Saffron Beach's number one target, whereas Mother Earth, she's going to Australia, she's going to America. We know what happened to the poor Santa Barbara, of course. I think the way to play this, I'm with G. I think you can have a bid on Saffron, and you can definitely stick a bid on the Mother Earth as well. They're the two to concentrate. We're opposing the Snow Lantern. Back to Ascot go we then for the 3:15. It's the John Guest Bengoff Stakes, a really well-established Group 3 sprint. We've got the usual up-and-comers, some solid handicap form, the Air Gold Cup, and a horse that's prepping for Champions Day that loves the course. Where are we going?
I thought it was between Great Ambassador and one of our old favourites, Dave, Summergand.
This is probably, in this studio, this horse has got more love from all the panellists, all the presenters, anyone that's come in, every show we do. Summergand is probably at the top of the popularity list, isn't he?
He is running really, really well at the moment. The last 2 runs, he ran in the Haydock Park Sprint Cup and made a mess of the start and was a huge eye-catcher running on from the back of the field. And last time out, he finished about 7th or 8th in the Air Gold Cup. Obviously behind Great Ambassador, again, not getting an ideal run through. Now, obviously, Great Ambassador is going to be very difficult to beat if he turns up in his Air Gold Cup form, but you get the feeling that Air Gold Cup was his Gold Cup. It was the big target the whole year. Yeah. And Summergand, I just think he's so tough, he might just keep rolling on.
Great Ambassador looks a bit short for me. We'll go to Pat in a second on that. I think you're right, 2 runs in quick succession. He won that York Sprint, didn't he? And then they got him in for the last handicap, if you like. And I wonder how much he left behind there, like you. Bielsa, of course, is in the race. When you said our favourite, I wondered whether you might go for him. And Summergand comes with a bit of a health warning, G, because every time you tip him, he tends to get a 0 and then win next time.
That's exactly. He's one of those horses, isn't he? He's a bit Oxo-like.
He is a bit Oxo-like.
Let's hope this could be his day. He's got some form at Ascot, of course. He was second in the Wokingham a couple of years ago, I think it was.
By a whisker, wasn't it?
Handle soft ground. Best form on fast, but has won on soft ground, so any ease shouldn't be an issue.
Bar Dragon Symbol, it's been relatively quiet year by his own standards for Archie Watson, isn't it? I've got a feeling that we're going to see the real Glenn Shield tomorrow. Everything is in his favour. This will either be a win or a this is not the Glen Shield we know. Like we saw with Art Power at the Curragh last weekend in the Renaissance Stakes, when they get their right race, I think we're going to be in for a treat in Champions Day Sprint, and I think he's going to make a bold bid to this event. So 3-1, I'm happy to take a chance. Pat.
Yeah, I keep coming back to Glen Shield. You look at his form figures, don't you? 4-2-6-0-0, and you scratch your head saying, why is it even favourite? But you know, he won the Group 1 champion sprint at Ascot in last October. This is a Group 3. He doesn't even have the Group 1 penalties for the race. So Ascot, it's not Holly Doyle, it's Paul Mulrennan. Paul Mulrennan's won on the horse before. Of course, Holly suspended. It's an undeniable drop in grade for Glen Shield. Throw in the ground, the track. It all points to a winning run for me. As for Great Ambassador and Bielsa, technically there shouldn't be anything between them at the weights, but you just look at that Bielsa Air Gold Cup. Was he flattered? Was he not flattered? Maybe Great Ambassador achieved more in being second that day on the other side. But I keep coming back to class and saying Glen Shield is the most likely winner.
Yeah, OK, so Glen Shield, I'm with G, was a bit underwhelming last time. We expected to bounce back. Could this be the day, though, that Summergan wins with a G next to his name? 2:15. Shall we dare to go across the channel to Paris Longchamp? The first thing to say, G, before we preview this Cadran, which looks like a special race, is will he turn up? Because people like Paul Keeley on a Friday morning, just as he's getting ready for his cross-channel trip, have said, will it even be on the meeting?
Oh, that would be a disaster.
He did, he tweeted it first thing Friday morning. Everyone's like, no, what are you on about?
The typical pessimist, Keeley, coming
thankfully,
out
he's
there.
usually wrong. But, yeah.
Well, this should be a cracker, shouldn't it? And we've been waiting for this race all season, Dave, haven't we? Trushan and Stradivarius getting it on.
Princess Zoe
to throw into the mix as well. But are we going to get this big clash between Trushan and Stradivarius? I mean, Trushan is the fussiest horse in training, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he can't run on anything.
But he seems to have the love with him, doesn't he? It's almost Stradivarius that people are saying, well, will he turn up, won't he? But, of course, Trushan's very much the same from a different angle.
He is. I mean, but Trushan's missed more races than Stradivarius because of the ground.
I'm glad to see you giving that a bit back. I thought you were going to bash Stradivarius today. You've done it a bit this year.
I've done it a bit this year because I want to get him, but he just keeps turning up and winning because Trushan doesn't turn up. So there's nothing there to beat him. Hopefully this time, Trushan and Stradivarius will turn up, and Trushan will prove that he is the best stayer in Europe. I think pretty sure that he is on soft ground. When he won that Goodwood Cup, I know it wasn't a strong race, but he pulled Holly Doyle's arms out the whole race and still flew up the finish. Yeah. That would be my only concern, Dave. 2.5 miles, really testing ground. If he pulls a little bit too hard, but he is a strong finisher, Trushan.
Yeah, same. He's drawn in 6. Stradivarius is in 1, all being well. Because, of course, they will have the option of Champions Day as well. And, will they roll the dice and think maybe they will get better ground at Champions Day? Of course, he ran at the Arc meeting last year, got sunk in the in the Arc itself, and then was over the top when he went to Champions Day. I'm with you, G. Let's hope he does turn up. What about Princess Zoe, Pat? No more popular a mare out there on the flat, I don't think. Certainly in Ireland. Has she really shown her best so far this year, though?
Well, there was a lot to like about her run last time behind Twilight Payment, and you just look at this Trushan Stradivarius clash. I'm keep reminded of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. We've been waiting an eternity to get it on. And that may never happen ever. So that could happen again here with Trushan. I wasn't impressed with Trushan at Goodwood. I'm slightly worried 2.5 miles. Stradivarius, you're always slightly worried about the ground. So you are left with Princess Zoe, aren't you? She won the race last year, 2.5 miles on testing ground. That's what it's going to be this time around. She is actually 5-2 joint favourite as we speak with Trushan. Stradivarius at 11-4. So maybe a surprise to some that Trushan and Stradivarius, the big two, aren't the first and second in the market. But you have to come back to Princess Zoe. She's the one more likely to run her race under the conditions for me.
OK, there you go then. It's going to be Trey Soup over there, whichever way you look. It will definitely suit Trushan. 3:05, the big race preview a lot of you will be waiting for here on What a Shout. It is the Arc de Triomphe. Can we just agree on something, that this is a cracking Arc?
Oh, it's an absolutely fantastic Arc de Triomphe, and it's the 100th birthday of the race this year as well. So
marvellous.
What a race for the 100th birthday. Last year I felt was a little bit underwhelming, wasn't it? This year we've got some real superstars in the lineup, and I can't wait. All
right, let's go to Pat. What's been hot, and more importantly perhaps, Pat, with the weather changing, what's not?
Yeah, certainly Adaya has been very solid in the market, and he's shortening price over the week. The one that's drifted really is Snowfall. We're used to these horses getting beat in French trials, aren't we? And saying, oh, don't worry, it'll be all right on the day. but she has been very easy to back. I think she's now 4th favourite. You go back 3 weeks ago, we had her at 9-4 favourite and presenting her with the trophy. So very easy to back in the market, and you could say a degree of value. But I was talking to Charlie Appleby at Newmarket last Saturday, and I was asking him about Adair and Hurricane Lane and wishing him well. And I got the feeling he couldn't split the two, really, you know, the way the arc was going to be run. So Hurricane Lane, that's been popular as well. So definitely more a Godolphin flavour than a Coolmore flavour in the market. And then, of course, you throw in the mighty Tanawa as well, who I think has possibly got the best line of form, the second to St. Mark's Basilica. Throw in Chronogenesis. I'm not sure about testing ground for him. And then it's 20-1 bar, and that includes Love with Frankie aboard. I would imagine that will start a bit shorter on the day. But as G-Rod said, this is a cracking race, and you can make a plausible case out for any of the front 4.
Yeah, talk about will they turn up as we had with Stradivarius on the Saturday. You have to be thinking Love. Her career so far, they've avoided this sort of ground, haven't they? We've heard from Aidan, of course. Broome will love it. He'll go for it. I think Broome will run above his odds. But we've got a couple of classic winners in here. William Buick, very quick to get back onto Adair, wasn't he? Despite the fact he missed his prep, and despite the fact he won another classic on Hurricane Lane, he had to sit on the Derby winner, right?
I think he did, yeah. And after he went and cemented that, of course, by beating the best horse in the world, Mishriff, at Ascot, I think that he had no choice but to ride Adair. I think if you're looking for the most likely winner of the race, I think Adair is certainly the most likely winner of the race. Of course, you have got a couple of worries about him. The fact that he missed his prep would be a slight concern going into such a big race. And also, of course, his stablemate Hurricane Lane, who has always been rated quite highly, almost on a par with him at Charlie Appleby's, you get a feeling, and Pat just said the same. So it's a cracking race. It's hard to choose between those at the top of the market if you want to go for the most likely winner. But I want to go for the value, Dave.
Well, I think you're going to try and do that, aren't you, with the horse that's been coming in under the radar. We spoke to Oisin Murphy a couple of weeks ago. He gave us the first word on Chronogenesis.
Yeah, I think that Chronogenesis is the bet in the race now at the current prices at what's going to be somewhere around double figures, I would have thought.
So where are you watching on Sunday?
Oh, I'll be watching in my front room
with your feet up with the Japanese flag. You'll be konnichiwaing all over the place, drinking sake.
Yeah, I will be going having a Japanese party.
We'll get a camera in there, G.
Maybe, just maybe, this could be Japan's year, because of course all the heartbreak in the past, you know, your Deep Impacts and your Orfevres, and how Orfevre didn't do it for him, I don't know, but they've come close, haven't they, in the past? There was also another one, wasn't there, who kept finishing second. I can't remember his name now, but this Chronogenesis. The one, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some sort of expert on Japanese form day, because I definitely am not. But the one thing I do know is that in the Dubai SEMA Classic, he ran the final two furlongs of that race 0.01 seconds slower than the best horse in the world, Mishriff. Right, and Mishriff that day was right at the top of his game. He was coming in race fit after a good win in the Saudis, and Chronogenesis hadn't run since December, so I'm not entirely sure that everything was right with his preparation. And also, he was given a strange old ride by the Japanese rider, who got in a bit of a mess, ended up in a barging match with a third, and then took some time to get himself ready.
Huge plus Oisin then, who had, of course, had a scare in the week at Salisbury. He was taken off in the ambulance with facial injuries, tough as teak, of course, Oisin, and he's back and it's fine. So that's a massive plus for you.
Upgrade in the saddle for sure, for Chronogenesis. Obviously, the ground is a concern, but we don't know that he doesn't go on heavy ground, do we? He's not really run on it, so we don't know he doesn't act on it. And until we don't know he doesn't go on it, that's not too much of a worry for me, Dave.
All right, okay. I am going for one of the boys in blue, shall we call him? It's Hurricane Lane for me. When the draw came out, I just thought it was absolutely perfect. He's proved he can go to France, and of course already. He's a tough horse as well, if you remember that he backed up that French one after winning the Irish Derby as well. He'll do for me. He's only been beaten once. He goes on heavy. He stays all day. I love the fact that they're running these two against each other as well, because they are both potentially, you know, super size for them as well, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's great to see such sporting owners, isn't it, to go and run them against each other in the big race. You don't always see it over the jumps. You see a lot of owners, we'll go here and go here. Here we're actually seeing Godolphin really go for it, and that's great. There
is a worry, of course, about the St Leger winner never having backed up successfully in the Arc. Nijinsky, of course, 1970, he was nutted into second. But this is a horse that can take his racing. He'll do for me. I think Snowfall will bounce back. I think we will see the real Snowfall. I think maybe she's not an absolute mudlark. Certain people are saying she's just by far the best of her generation. Of course, she was a little bit flat, wasn't she, in the Vermeil? But horses have bounced back, and we heard from Aidan she's going there in a good place. What an arc it is. You've got the tips there. What wins? Get it in below. Time for the Pre-de-l-Opera then, Sunday 3:50. It is the Group 1 for fillies over a mile 4 as the dust settles from the Arc. Well, if you like Tanawa, you're going to like Audaria. Of course, the Breeders' Cup winner who was just beaten by that filly in this race last year. Got a good draw, but I got a sense from speaking to Aidan G that of all the horses that I spoke to him about yesterday, this was the one he was expecting to bounce back. Complete throwaway line. I think this will be Aidan O'Brien's winner. Watch that back, the replay. You can do that out there, of course, her last run. Throwaway. She's from that You're So Thrilling family. Glen Eagles, Vatican City, all milers. This is her trip. She won't mind the ground. I think she'll bounce back. Who do you like?
Yeah, they've always liked Joan of Arc, haven't they? But she has been a little bit disappointing. I mean, she got thrashed by Lady Beaufort as well at Goodwood.
Thrashed is a bit harsh.
Well, yeah. She was well beaten, Dave.
She had to make her own run in that day. You know,
I don't like excuses, Dave. You know that.
Yeah, I know you don't. Something tells me you might be about to give me one for your horse, though. Who always seems to be there or thereabouts, but
yeah,
it's going to need excuses from the others to win.
I really like Thundering Knights, for Aidan's son Joseph or Joey.
Joey.
Remember Joey? Joey O'Brien, yeah. No, Thundering Knights, I think, has got the best single piece of form in this race, which is the run, the Pretty Polly at the Curragh earlier in the year when she beat Santa Barbara, who, of course, is a dual American Group Grade 1 winner. Obviously, the ill-fated Santa Barbara, sadly, but they were well clear of KM Pepper in third that day, and I think that is a real strong piece of form. Now, I'm going to give you some excuses. Next time out, she was beaten behind Audaria.
Oh, excuses.
Well, I can use them when I want to, Dave.
I think everyone knows that about you by now.
Grand Glory and Audaria definitely coming in probably under-prepped. I mean, for a 2-month break that day, I think that she ran very well to run them so close. And then last time out, she was beaten behind 2 good fillies, La Petite Coco and Love, of course, at the Curragh. I think that's pretty good form in the context of this race. Let's not forget that Love is running in the Arc. So I expect Thundering Knights to bounce back with a win here, Dave.
All right, we both expect an O'Brien win for differing reasons. But Pat, I said Guten Morgen to you because you are going in this race for a German Raider.
Yeah, I keep hearing you and G-Rod making excuses for horses that ran last time out and, do this and give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to go for one that's unbeaten. I don't have to make excuses for this girl. 3 runs, 3 wins. She's a German filly. She won the German Oaks. Her name is Palmas. Good trainer. Herr Vola. He's had some top-class horses in the past. She's just had a few runs. Unbeaten. I don't have to make excuses for my girl. And all these German horses, they're always underestimated in the market. She should be a lot shorter. I expect big things from her.
There you go. I'll tell you what, his Herr Vola was a lot more convincing than your Petite Coco.
The Petite Coco.
Oh, whatever happens, let's hope we're not saying 999 when the German filly comes from stall 13. 4:25 on Sunday, one of the treats of the season is the Pre-de-l-Abbaye, a 5-furlong burn-up on a different course in Paris. If you're going there, you're going to have to navigate your way around the city of Paris to get into the track. Well, at the track, it's remarkable, isn't it? If you stand in the main stand, you'll miss the race, right?
It's a bit like going to Sandown, isn't it? They come scorching up the middle of the track, and it's not the easiest.
But this is weirder, isn't it? You literally got to make the walkway round. It's like going into the cross country at Cheltenham, isn't it? You know, it's weird.
I love the cross country at Cheltenham, though. It's great to go exploring at tracks, isn't it?
We're getting off the track. We're getting off the track. Of course, that's coming back soon. Tell me about this race and where you want to be and historically.
Well, historically you want to be low, but that doesn't mean you cannot win from a high draw, of course, because there have been several winners in the past from double-figure stalls. But generally speaking, you want a single-figure stall. Yeah,
and it's a weird camera angle, Pat, isn't it? Because you think you've won, and then, of course, they go on to the other line as well. It's just a strange race, but who's going to emerge the best? We've got some top-notchers in here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and be careful when you start cheering as well. As you say, you might have just hit the front at the furlong pole, and no, you don't want to be doing tap dancing there, celebrating there. It's a tricky old track, this one. Sueza, I think, merits being favourite for the race. We remember running at York. She just couldn't keep up that day on a flat track on fast ground. She's won on heavy ground here, and the draw doesn't really matter to her. She's a hold-up filly, so I'd imagine, I think Olivier Pellier is back on board. He's won on her before. So I'm not so much worried about the draw. I think everything points to a mighty run from her. But it's a big field, isn't it? You can have unlucky losers in this. We've seen that many a time. Most likely winner, yes, and Glass Slippers, I'm sure, will advertise her Breeders' Cup claims with another bold run.
Yeah, she's my pick. Everyone knows that I love this filly. You love this filly as well. I'm a bit surprised you haven't gone for her. We'll get to your selection in a second. I thought that Sueza was probably one of the big lays of the weekend. She's got a wide draw. I remember before they came to Ascot, they said she's one of these strange French sprinters that doesn't necessarily, we're not sure she really wants this heavy ground. She got on heavy ground at Ascot and completely flopped. She came over to Goodwood when she started her stuff. She's not going to get that ground here. And I think she needs a bit of luck as well. Glass slippers for me. She's won the race. She's placed in it as well. Everything to like. But you like?
Yeah, I think Swayzer's a little bit overrated, to be honest with you, Dave, but she might go and prove that me wrong there. But I like the French horse Bernouille, who
Better pronunciation.
won well on the trials day there. When this horse won on trials day, over the course and distance, blitzing them down the centre of that track,
Yeah.
I was just like, this will win the Abbaye. As soon as I saw it, I was just like, this is the Abbaye winner here.
So go and have a look at it on YouTube and
Yeah,
everything.
go and have a look at this
Find it on
race last
Gallo
time
and
at
all that.
Longchamp. Now, of course, a bit of a spanner in the works has gone and got the double figure draw, and I was kind of hoping for a little bit lower, but I'm not going to be swayed by the original impression that Bernouille gave me that day. I still think that he's the most likely winner of the race. Winter Power's had her day in the sun at York.
She's another interesting character though, isn't she?
She's very, very fast filly, very good filly, but I think York is her track, and I think that we've seen the best of her this year. Glasslip was a little bit disappointed with her, Dave, last time out. I thought when she hit the front, they wouldn't catch her, and they did.
Yeah, it's going to be like Dodgems out there for these 5 furlong sprinters. Good luck to all of them who will prevail. Tell us below. 5 o'clock on Sunday, the final race preview for you. And again, it's a bit strange, isn't it? If you're first getting into racing, you're like, why is there, these Group 1s so long after the Arc? An absolute treat for us. And finally, we get our 7 furlong Group 1 race. Horses all year, like Space Blues, who've of course got form over there. And all these 7 furlong specialists, they have to wait for the foray, don't they?
They do, and it's a very unique race, isn't it, Dave? Because they come out of that chute on the 7 furlongs from Longchamp. I remember one of the leading French jockeys last year saying it's really difficult for a jockey because you have to get into a good position early. So maybe the draw could prove key again here.
I've seen some very good horses beaten in this. Lamato, when he came out of that chute, do you remember for Henry Canning, Ryan Moore, beaten after a furlong? And when I was there in Enable's year, what's the great William Haggis filly that won it? In the colours, the Lale colours. Come on, let's do this. What's her name?
One Master.
One Master. He can occasionally earn his corn when One Master won. It's a really rough race. I like a DeHale. We were just looking at the draws. It was coming out on this Friday morning. Some of us were groaning, like me, because I thought DeHale, unlucky in the Sussex not to have a bigger say. Prep last time, likes this ground, likes the track. 14, so I'm groaning a bit, unlike...
I really like Speak of the Devil here, Dave. I think that she has got an absolutely huge chance. And I'll tell you why, because this race is the last race on the card. It's the last Group 1 race on the card. And this ground by then is going to be a right mess because they will have churned it up all day. So these horses here are going to get the worst of the ground. This will be probably the slowest time on the card because of that. But this horse, Speak of the Devil, absolutely loves the soup.
Yeah, unlike Space Blues, of course, he's drawn in stall 10. He's going to need some luck to go his way. We saw in the Lennox, didn't we? Of course, he didn't have his ground at York. He turned up. All right, so DeHale for me, despite the draw. Speak of the Devil from G, got that lovely inside draw. Speak of the Devil, and he shall appear.
Well, I actually fancy one in this race, and it's called Thunder Moon. Now, you have to be a bit lenient with some of his runs, but this is 7 furlongs. He's had 4 races over 7 furlongs. Let's quickly go through them. Won a maiden at the Curragh. Good run. Next time he ran over 7, he won a Group 1 at the Curragh. The National Stakes, no less. The next time we saw him was in the Dewhurst, 3rd to St. Mark's Basilica. What's wrong with that? And his only other run over 7 furlongs, he was 2nd in a Group 1, beaten ahead on very soft ground. The 7 furlong version of Thunder Moon gives him a terrific chance in this at a price. So Thunder Moon for me. Ropey looking form figures I'll give you, 07209. Sounds a bit like a mobile phone number, doesn't it? But the 7 furlong form is pretty good.
Yeah, and his best run, of course, as a 3-year-old came in France. You are a devil, Pat Cooney, because it was my first anti-post bet in a long time after the Dewhurst. Of course, we saw what St. Mark's Basilica won and done. He hasn't quite trained on, has he? But if Thunder Moon wins this without a penny of mine on a euro...
I think if Thunder Moon wins, Dave, we're all going to be head in hands, aren't we?
Absolutely. All right, so it's going to be a tough race, but it's an absolute treat. It's the foray. Nap time here, then, this special show we've done for you. I will give the floor to Graeme Rodway.
Saffron Beach for me, Dave, in the Sun Chariot. I think it's the 2:55 at Newmarket. I think she's got an outstanding course record, light, soft ground. This is her race, Saffron Beach.
She's going to hit the target one way or the other, isn't she? All right, Pat Cooney, what do you got for us?
Yeah, 425 Ascot, Boundless Power, 2nd in the Portland last time out, behind Hurricane Ivor. He came out and won since. His previous 3 runs, you just look him up, not clear run, repeatedly, not clear run, not clear run. If he gets daylight in the 425, I'm expecting him to win.
There's a right old eye catcher in the Portland, wasn't it? You can watch that back on your members section. I'm going to wait till Sunday for mine. The opener on the Longchamp spectacular card is the Boussac, one of the other Group 1s that we haven't previewed over there, but do not miss Raclette. One of the best fillies that Andre Fabre has ever trained, say Connections. She will justify favouritism in the Boussac. That's got your...
That's got my neck my neck up there. Did the best filly he's ever trained?
One of the best.
One of the best.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, I'm gonna definitely watch this race now.
Yeah, she's in the Frankel colours. She's by him. She just wins. Sadly, all we've got time for then on this weekend's What a Shout. Thank you to Aidan O'Brien for coming on, at the team in Ballydoyle, Chris, etc., for sorting that out. What a treat. Aidan will be back next year, hopefully before the Classics of 2022. G, great to have you back in the seat. I can tell you're excited.
Yeah, can't wait. It's a fantastic weekend. Always one of my favourites of the whole year. And let's hope we get some winners, Dave.
And you will be waving those Japanese flags. We can get a camera in your room.
Yeah, we're going to have all the big Japanese beers in on Sunday for a big Japanese party when Chronogenesis does it for the Japanese.
The missus is just booking a ticket back to Canada, I would imagine. Pat Cooney, great to see you again, Pat. Albeit, it looks like you're doing a bit of time, actually, Pat. You've got the old Prix jumper on. The missus locked you in the office.
Well, this is what all the young trendy kids are wearing at the moment, so I thought I'd jump aboard.
Okay, great to have Pat from our sponsors, Bet365. Great to have you with us. Let you know what feedback you've got for us. And of course, what did you make of that Aidan O'Brien interview? Don't forget to download the free Must Have Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Play Store itself. Please gamble responsibly. So much racing out there this weekend, as there is the sport. It's wonderful. It's ARC weekend. Enjoy it.